Okay, so imagine this. You're walking along, and suddenly this massive ancient tree, it just starts walking towards you.
Whoa.
Yeah, like each step is slow and deliberate. Would you think you were dreaming?
Yeah, I think I'd have to question reality a bit.
Totally. And that's how a novelist described meeting Anandamayi.
Oh, wow.
She's a modern Indian saint. A lot of people called her the blissful mother.
I've heard that name. Yeah. There's a certain energy around it, a kind of reverence.
Absolutely. And in this deep dive, we're going deeper than just the surface level stuff. We're looking at the hidden wisdom Anandamayi shared with her closest disciples.
Kind of like unlocking a secret vault of spiritual insights.
Exactly. And luckily, we have a ton of sources, writings by her and about her.
We even have biographical details and accounts of her with other major spiritual figures.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we can really see what she was about. So are you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, one thing that really stood out to me in the source material was how Anandamayi viewed suffering. It was different. Well, she didn't see it as something to avoid or transcend at all, like most spiritual teachers would.
Right. Most traditions focus on escaping suffering.
Yeah, but she called it the fire that purifies the gold.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, it completely flips the script.
Doesn't it? So instead of resisting or fearing those tough times, we should actually lean into them.
See them as opportunities for growth and transformation.
Precisely. She saw suffering as like a catalyst for awakening, a teacher disguised as something else.
Yeah. By accepting all of life, the good and the bad, we break free from those limitations of the ego.
That's a radical shift in perspective. And it actually connects to another one of her main teachings, this idea of the true self.
Right. It's a core concept in a lot of Eastern traditions.
Yeah, and Anandamayi, she would often say, you are not this body, nor this mind, nor these passing emotions.
It's about recognizing that eternal, unchanging consciousness that lies beneath all of that.
And she encouraged her disciples to detach from those constant thoughts and emotions.
To connect with that deeper, unchanging reality.
She had this great term for it, the art of staying.
I love that.
Yeah.
What exactly did she mean by that?
Well, think of it like a vast ocean.
Oh.
On the surface, you've got waves crashing and churning. It's constantly changing.
Yeah, but deep down, the ocean floor is still and silent.
Right, and that stillness, that's the essence of the art of staying.
It's about resting in that silent awareness beneath all the mental and emotional turbulence.
Exactly. And by cultivating this practice of staying present in that silent awareness,
we can experience the peace and freedom that come from realizing our true self.
it's both challenging and incredibly liberating.
It does take practice and dedication, but the rewards are huge.
Totally. And speaking of practice, the source material mentions a whole range of techniques that Anandamayi used to help her disciples on their spiritual paths.
Oh yeah, she had a whole toolkit for harmonizing those subtle energies.
There's pranayama mantra chanting Kundalini awakening. It's fascinating.
And she was a master at tailoring those practices to meet the individual needs of each person.
Like she had an intuitive understanding of the human energy system.
She could sense where the blockages were and how to clear them.
So let's unpack some of these practices. What is pranayama exactly and how does it work?
So pranayama is basically consciously controlling your breath.
So it's more than just taking deep breaths.
Right. It's a powerful tool for regulating the flow of prana, life force energy within the body.
Okay, so it's about working with that energy directly.
Exactly. There are specific techniques that can energize calm, clear blockages and even induce altered states of consciousness.
Really? So can you give us an example of a pranayama technique that maybe we could try?
Yeah, absolutely. One that Anandamayi often recommended is called Nadi Shuddhana.
Okay.
It's also called alternate nostril breathing.
I've heard of that one. Is it difficult?
Not at all. It's actually pretty simple, but it's really powerful for balancing the energy channels in your body.
So how do you do it?
Okay, so you use your right thumb to close your right nostril and inhale deeply through your left nostril. Then close your left nostril with your right ring and pinky fingers and exhale through your right nostril. Then inhale through your right nostril, close it, and exhale through your left.
So you just keep alternating nostrils.
Exactly. For several rounds. And it's amazing how effective it can be.
I'm definitely going to try that. What about mantra chanting? What's the purpose of that?
So mantras are sacred sounds or syllables that you repeat to focus the mind and invoke specific energies.
I've heard that they can be really powerful.
They are. Think of them like vibrational keys.
Okay.
They unlock different aspects of consciousness.
So it's not just about the words themselves?
Right. It's the vibrations they create within us.
Each mantra carries a unique frequency.
It can have a big impact on our energy field, our emotions, and even our physical body.
Can you give us an example of a mantra that Anandamayi used?
One of her favorites was Om Namah Shivaya.
What does that mean?
It means, I bow to Shiva. And Shiva represents the divine consciousness within all beings.
So by chanting that mantra, you're connecting with that divine consciousness.
Yeah, you're invoking that energy within yourself.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as chanting a sound can have such a powerful effect.
It really is. And Anandamayi, she believed that mantra chanting was essential for purifying the mind, connecting with the divine, and awakening to our true nature.
It sounds like a practice worth exploring. Okay, so we've covered pranayama and mantra chanting. Now, what about Kundalini awakening? This one sounds a bit more mysterious.
Yeah, and maybe even a little intimidating to some people.
It does. So what is it exactly?
Kundalini is a very powerful energy that lies dormant at the base of the spine.
Okay.
And when it's awakened, it rises up through the energy center.
Chakras.
Right, leading to some really profound spiritual experiences and transformations.
So it's like unlocking hidden potential within us.
Yeah, but it's really important to approach Kundalini awakening with caution and guidance. It's a powerful process that can be destabilizing if you don't handle it properly.
I can see how that would be the case. Anandamayi clearly had a deep understanding of these subtle energies and how to work with them safely and effectively.
She did. She was a master of these practices.
It's incredible to think that we have this vast reservoir of energy within us just waiting to be tapped into.
We do. And Anandamayi's teachings, they give us a roadmap for accessing that energy and using it to awaken to our true potential.
It's like she's giving us the keys to unlock the hidden dimensions of our being.
Absolutely. And what's even more remarkable is that she didn't see herself as the source of this wisdom or power.
She didn't.
No, she considered herself a humble instrument, a channel for divine grace.
That's so powerful. It reminds us that true spiritual transformation isn't about our own efforts.
Right. It's about aligning ourselves with a higher power.
Surrendering to something greater than ourselves and allowing that force to work through us.
And that brings us to another key theme that emerges from the source material.
Which is?
Anandamayi's profound humility. And her ability to see the divine in everyone.
No matter their social standing or outward appearance.
It didn't matter to her. The stories about how she interacted with others are so inspiring.
They really are. They reveal a heart filled with compassion.
And a vision that saw the inherent sacredness in all beings.
Speaking of stories, the sources mention a really interesting encounter that Anandamayi had with Paramahansa Yogananda.
Oh yes, another really influential spiritual figure.
And it sounds like there was this immediate recognition between them, a deep spiritual connection.
There was. It's said that when Yogananda first saw Anandamayi, he got out of his car, walked straight towards her and said, "Father, finally you have come."
Wow.
And the warmth and joy in that greeting, you can just feel it.
Yeah, like they were kindred spirits recognizing each other instantly.
Exactly. And when Yogananda asked her to share something about herself,
what'd she say?
She gave a really humble response. She said, "There is so little to say, Father."
It speaks volumes about her humility. She didn't see herself as anything special.
Just an instrument of the divine. And Yogananda later remarked that she was always one with the eternal.
Recognizing her incredible state of divine realization.
Exactly.
But it wasn't just her interactions with these spiritual giants that highlight her wisdom.
No, there are stories of her with everyday people too.
Like the story about her encounter with a beggar.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It perfectly shows her radical humility and her ability to see the divine in unexpected places.
Okay, so set the scene for me. What happened?
So picture this: Anandamayi is walking along this dusty road.
Okay.
And she sees a beggar sitting by the roadside. She walks right up to him, bows deeply, and asks for his blessing.
Wait, she asked a beggar for his blessing?
She did. The beggar was shocked. He said, "But I'm just a poor beggar. How could I possibly bless you? You're this revered spiritual being."
I can only imagine his surprise. What did Anandamayi say to that?
She just smiled and said, "You are the embodiment of the divine, my child. In your eyes, I see the face of the absolute. It is you who hold the power to bless me, because you are the living presence of the sacred in this world."
That is so powerful. It completely changes how we usually think about who is worthy of reverence.
It does. It challenges us to look beyond appearances and see that inherent divinity in everyone.
It's a reminder that true spirituality isn't about titles or status.
It's about how we see and interact with the world around us.
And how we treat each other.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us to the heart of the matter.
How can we apply Anandamayi Ma's teachings to our own lives?
That's the question, isn't it? The sources seem to suggest a few key principles.
Yeah, but I'm curious to hear your insights on how to put them into practice.
Well, I think it starts with exploring the nature of the self. Just like Anandamayi encouraged her disciples to look beyond their thoughts and emotions, we can do the same.
So engaging in deep self-inquiry, contemplation, and meditation.
Exactly. And by doing that, we can uncover the true nature of the ego and connect with that expansive awareness that is our true nature.
It's about recognizing that we are not defined by our thoughts or feelings or experiences,
But by something deeper, more fundamental.
And this leads us to the second principle.
Embracing life in its fullness.
Remembering that Anandamayi Ma taught that true liberation comes from accepting every aspect of life.
The good and the bad.
So instead of resisting or avoiding difficult experiences, we should approach them with openness, curiosity, and reverence.
By cultivating this radical acceptance, we can dissolve the boundaries of the limited self and awaken to the beauty of existence.
It's like shifting our perspective from seeing challenges as obstacles to seeing them as opportunities.
Opportunities for growth and transformation.
Exactly. And this shift allows us to tap into the third principle.
Harmonizing with those subtle energies.
Anandamayi Ma had this exceptional understanding of the human energetic system.
And she used practices like pranayama mantra chanting and kundalini awakening to help her disciples connect with that energy.
And by engaging in these practices, we can connect more deeply with the life force energy within us.
Opening those pathways to higher consciousness and spiritual awakening.
It's like tuning into a higher frequency, aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe.
It really is. But it does require dedication and discipline.
It does. And that's where the fourth principle comes in.
Devotion and surrender.
Remembering that Anandamayi Ma saw herself as a channel for divine grace.
Not the source of her spiritual power.
So it's about humility, recognizing that there's something greater than ourselves at work.
And surrendering to that higher power.
By cultivating that attitude of reverence and openness, we invite that transformation into our lives.
We become receptive to guidance from a higher source.
And this ties in beautifully with the fifth and final principle.
Embracing simplicity and inner focus.
Anandamayi Ma's life was a perfect example of simplicity.
She was free from possessions and worldly concerns.
Completely dedicated to realizing the ultimate truth and helping others.
It's a powerful reminder that material possessions and external achievements don't lead to lasting fulfillment.
No, they don't. By embracing simplicity and turning inward, we break free from distractions.
And deepen our commitment to spiritual awakening.
This has been an incredibly insightful exploration of Anandamayi Ma's teachings. It's amazing how these principles feel so relevant today.
They do. There's a timelessness to her message that transcends cultural boundaries.
Like she's offering us a roadmap to navigate the complexities of modern life and find lasting peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while the path may be challenging, the rewards are huge.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about Anandamayi Ma's background, delved into her teachings about the true self, and even touched on her interactions with other spiritual figures. But there's still so much more to uncover.
There is so much more. We've only just scratched the surface.
So in the next part of our deep dive, we'll continue exploring the practical applications of her wisdom.
Focusing on specific practices and techniques that you can integrate into your daily life.
To experience the peace and freedom that she embodied.
Exactly. We'll give you the tools to actually put these teachings into practice.
I'm excited to keep going. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon to delve even deeper into the hidden wisdom of Anandamayi Ma. So welcome back to our deep dive into the hidden wisdom of Anandamayi Ma.
It's great to be back.
Last time we were talking about how she saw suffering as a catalyst for awakening and also that connection with our true self.
Yeah, such powerful concepts.
Right. It's a lot to process.
It is.
But the sources, they actually offer some practical guidance on how to actually live those teachings.
That's what's so great about Anandamayi Ma.
Yeah.
Her wisdom, it wasn't just theoretical. You know?
Right. It was meant to be experienced.
Lived, breathed, yeah, in every moment.
Exactly. And a lot of that comes down to the practices that she shared.
Right.
Earlier, we talked about pranayama mantra chanting, kundalini awakening.
We just touched on them, though.
Yeah, it feels like a whole universe within each one of those.
There is. It's a lot.
It is.
And I think it's easy to get overwhelmed, trying to do everything at once.
Right.
But Anandamayi Ma, she always stressed that the most important thing is to find the practices that really resonate with you.
Yeah, that feel aligned with your own path. Okay, that makes sense. So maybe instead of trying to cover everything, we can pick one practice and go deep.
Correct.
I'm curious about pranayama. We talked about how it's more than just deep breathing.
It is. It's a great entry point for working with those subtle energies.
Yeah, and it's something you can do every day.
Easily.
So what's one pranayama technique that Anandamayi Ma recommended, something our listener could try right now?
Okay, so one she taught a lot is called Ujjayi breath.
Ujjayi.
Yeah, it's sometimes called victorious breath or ocean breath because of the sound it makes.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do you do it?
Okay, so first, find a comfortable seated position.
Okay.
And imagine you're going to fog up a mirror with your breath.
Okay, like,
So you slightly constrict the back of your throat as if you're going to whisper, ha! But instead of whispering, you inhale and exhale through your nose, keeping that soft ha sound going.
I can already feel a sense of calm just from trying that. It's amazing how something so simple can have such a noticeable effect.
Right? It's pretty incredible. And that's just the beginning.
Really?
Anandamayi Ma taught that Ujjayi breath helps to regulate the flow of prana.
Okay.
And that calms the nervous system, soothes the mind, increases focus.
Wow.
It even helps regulating your body temperature.
That's a lot of benefits packed into one breathing technique.
It is. It makes you wonder what other hidden powers we have within us.
Just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And that sense of wonder, that curiosity in Anandamayi Ma, really encouraged that in her disciples.
She did.
She believed that true spiritual growth comes from approaching life with that childlike openness.
Seeing the extraordinary in the ordinary.
Yes.
Which brings us back to that story about her encounter with the beggar.
Such a powerful example.
It is. It makes me think about how often we judge people based on how they look or their social status.
And how much we're missing by doing that.
Totally.
So much.
Anandamayi Ma, she saw that beggar as a reflection of the divine,
Right.
not someone to be pitied or looked down upon. And in asking for his blessing, she acknowledged his inherent worth and dignity.
It was a radical act of humility.
It was, and it challenges us to examine our own biases.
Yeah.
What if we started to see the world through her eyes?
What if we did?
How would our relationships transform?
It's a great question. I think we all need to ask ourselves that.
Well,
What would it look like to approach every interaction with that same reverence?
with that openness that she had,
Exactly.
it wouldn't be easy.
It wouldn't. But the potential rewards are huge.
Imagine a world where we saw the divine spark in everyone,
Where we treat each other with kindness, compassion, respect.
regardless of our differences.
That's the world Anandamayi Ma was pointing us toward.
And it's a world we can all help create,
We can.
starting with our own thoughts, words, and actions.
It starts with each of us making that conscious effort to look beyond the surface.
To see the divine in everyone and to treat each other with respect.
The respect and dignity that we all deserve.
Well said. And as we continue our journey into Anandamayi Ma's teachings, let's keep this story close to our hearts. Let it remind us that true spirituality is not about dogma or ritual.
Right.
It's about living a life of love, compassion, and service.
And sometimes those profound lessons come from the most unexpected sources.
Like that beggar.
Yeah. Who, in Anandamayi's eyes, became a teacher,
A guide.
a reflection of the divine.
And that's the beauty of her teachings. They invite us to see the world as a classroom
To find teachers in every situation.
and to embrace every experience as an opportunity for growth and awakening.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective, opening our hearts, and allowing ourselves to be guided by a wisdom that's greater than our own.
And that's a journey that leads us to the very essence of Anandamayi Ma's message.
Which is,
That boundless bliss is not something we need to attain.
it's something we already are.
It's our true nature waiting to be unveiled.
I love that.
It's a powerful reminder that the answers we seek are often closer than we think,
They're within us.
waiting to be discovered.
And by following Anandamayi Ma's guidance, by practicing the techniques she shared, and by embracing the world with that radical love and acceptance that she embodied, we can awaken to that truth,
And experience that boundless joy and freedom.
which is our birthright.
Maybe we can even help create a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued, just like Anandamayi Ma saw the beggar.
That's a beautiful vision.
It is,
Oh.
and one worth striving for. So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, let's keep that vision in mind.
Let's explore how we can take these teachings and apply them to our lives
Creating ripples of love, compassion, and understanding.
that extend outward into the world.
I can't wait to explore that with you. We'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive into the hidden wisdom of Anandamayi Ma. So welcome back to our deep dive. It's been quite a journey exploring the hidden wisdom of Anandamayi Ma.
It really has. Her teachings, they offer such a powerful path to awakening.
And what strikes me is how relevant her message feels today.
Totally. The world feels so chaotic right now.
It does.
But her teachings, they offer a sense of hope.
Yeah, that peace and joy are within us.
Not out there somewhere.
Exactly. We've covered some really deep stuff.
We have the true self, embracing suffering, harmonizing subtle energies, surrendering to a higher power.
But how do we actually apply it all to our everyday lives?
That's the real question, isn't it?
It is.
Anandamayi, she didn't just talk about these concepts.
She lived them.
And in doing so, she showed us what it means to be truly awake, truly alive.
So what can we learn from her example? How can we make these teachings real in our own lives?
Well, remember how she emphasized simplicity and inner focus?
Yeah.
That's a great place to start.
Okay, what does that look like practically?
Well, it could be as simple as taking a few minutes each day to just sit in silence.
Okay.
Connect with your breath.
Yeah.
Observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment.
Okay.
You could declutter your space.
Yeah.
Let go of things you don't need anymore.
Simplify your schedule.
Make time for things that nourish your soul.
Like meditation or spending time in nature.
Or just being present with loved ones.
Those are great ideas. But life gets busy.
It does?
It's easy to forget about those things.
So what advice did Anandamayi give for staying connected to that inner peace when everything's so chaotic?
She would tell her disciples to find those little moments throughout the day.
Okay.
To pause, to turn their attention inward and remember their true nature.
So like what kind of moments?
Yeah, it could be taking a few conscious breaths while you're waiting in line at the store.
Okay.
Offering a silent prayer of gratitude before you eat.
Yeah.
Or taking a moment to appreciate a beautiful sunset.
Those small moments of awareness.
They can help us stay grounded in the present moment.
And cultivate that inner peace.
That isn't dependent on what's happening around us.
I love that. It's about weaving those moments of mindfulness into our lives.
Not thinking we need to escape to a mountaintop to find peace.
Right, exactly. And remember that pranayama technique we talked about, Ujjayi breath?
Yes. The ocean breath.
Yeah. You can do that anytime, anywhere.
It's like a portable sanctuary
I like that.
that you carry with you wherever you go. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to access that peace.
Even when things are tough.
It's amazing how the breath can be such a powerful tool.
It really is. And that's the beauty of Anandamayi's teachings.
Yeah.
They're not about complicated rituals or anything like that.
Right.
They're simple tools that anyone can use.
To awaken to their true nature.
And live a life full of joy and peace and purpose.
It's about remembering who we really are.
That boundless interconnected consciousness.
Not the limited separate selves we often get caught up in.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I have one final question for you.
Okay.
What if the boundless bliss
Yeah.
that Anandamayi embodied,
Yeah.
what if it's not something you need to achieve?
Okay.
What if it's something you already are,
Like it's our birthright.
waiting to be unveiled?
That's a powerful question.
It is. And I believe that by embracing her teachings, by cultivating that inner awareness, and by living with an open heart and a willingness to see the divine in everyone and everything,
Yeah.
we can all awaken to that truth.
And experience that boundless joy and freedom.
It's our birthright.
That's a beautiful message of hope and possibility,
It is,
and one that I'll be carrying with me.
as will I. And I encourage all of our listeners to do the same.
Let her wisdom be your guide,
Her example, your inspiration.
and her boundless love your compass.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden wisdom of Anandamayi.
May her teachings continue to illuminate your path and guide you toward the awakening that lies within a war.